So in today's tutorial, we're going to be teaching you guys how to go and sell players on the lazy buyer method. But before we do start this, if you guys are interested, I do offer a daily subscriber trading guide over on my Twitch, which you can get for free with Amazon Prime. All you got to do is click on the top link in the description and you can subscribe over there with Amazon Prime. If not, it is £5, €5 or $6 for the month. For that, you will get yourself daily investing or daily updated investing guides, daily updated silver lists or players that go and sell, daily updated shadow guides with players again updated every single day with prices updated every day. On top of that, I do have a list of players that go and sell on for lazy buyers. So in today's video, we are going to be covering how to do the lazy buyer method. Now, what is the lazy buyer method? Now, the lazy buyer method is basically something very irrational, so it might be a bit of a hard concept to get your head around. But basically, what we're going to be doing in today's video is a very low effort, but I guess small profit method. But it's a great method for you guys to do if you're not actually, one, interested in trading, or two, don't actually have the time. So the concept of this method is we buy loads of players, buy 100 players, throw them on our transfer list, and just keep on relisting them until they sell. Now, this is again a bit of an irrational method because we are actually listing players in excess of what they normally sell for, but the idea is because of lazy buyers, aka the whole method, they go and sell on. So what we basically do in this method is I go and buy someone like Diego Dalot. I've gone and bought him for 5.2k, and I'm listing him right now for 6.5k, and I'll just keep relisting him until he sells. And because he's a popular card for people to buy with a shadow, he will eventually go and sell on. Now, yeah, that's basically how this works. But what you need to do is you basically need to find the right sort of players to go and use for this method. Now, the players that you want to use are ideally the players that have the highest demand in comparison to their supply. So, for example, gold cards with shadow are really good to go and do this method with because there is high demand for these gold cards with shadow, but in comparison to just the gold card themselves, so just a low by himself, no shadow on him, you know, they're not that supplied. So we've got ourselves about 6 or 7 different avenues you can go and do this method with, and I'll talk a little bit more about the method. And so the first thing we're going to be talking about is low rated SBC fodder. These could be 83s, these could be 84s, or these could be 85s. Obviously there is not the lowest supply in the world, but there is extremely high demand for these players. So what you would want to do in this method is first off, ideally try and snipe the cards a few hundred coins cheaper than they're going for. So for example, let's go and say we want to go and buy Dunn. So the first thing I would do is I'd go and then try and snipe Dunn a few hundred coins than what she's going for. So let's go and grab Dunn, if we can successfully type her name in. There we go, and at the moment she should be about 4k if I'm not wrong. Yep, so what we want to do is, first off, to get a few extra 100 coins profit, we'll probably go and try and snipe her under 3.8. So let's go and see if we can go and do that right now as a nice little example. How I personally snipe is I basically put the lowest buy now without there being a card over the hour. I then press compare price back out. This basically just allows me to snipe quite competitively on the console. You can obviously just sit on the menus at like 3.8k by now and keep spamming the market, but yeah, personally I'm more of a fan of doing compare price back out sniping. So again, ideally what we're going to do is pick her up for 3.8k. Again, I might not be able to get a live example. Can I get a live example? There we go. So first off, we're already getting her 200 coins cheaper than what she's selling for, and this will help us just make a little bit more profit. But obviously the profit isn't buying her at 3.8 and selling her at 4k. Where the profit is buying her at 3.8 and then listing her for around about 30% more than she's selling for. So right now, Dunn is selling for around about 4k, so I'm going to try and go and sell her for 30% more than that, which means I'm going to go and sell her up to 5.2k. So what I would do is I'd go and win the Dunn, and then I'd go and list her for 5.2k. Now personally, something I quite like doing is going just above the K and just below the K when it comes to listing. You just go and move this over here. So for example, I like putting 4.9k bid, 5.2k buy now. Now again, you can actually go and lazy buy or lazy sell players for whatever you want, but the best success rate is normally around about 20-30%. You could, if you really wanted, go and put that to 7.2k and that to 6.9k, but the idea is the more you sell them on lazy buyers, the lower the chance they go and sell on. So if I wanted a really high success rate, I could probably go and list it for 4.5, 4.7, but I'm probably just not making, you know, that good a coin, so I'd probably go 4.9 and 5.2. Now another reason that I go and set a few hundred coins between the bid and buy now is I like people to look at this card and go, ooh, I can actually win them for a few, you know, I'll be able to get the card for a little bit cheaper if I go and win it on bid, not understanding that the card is just listed more in the first place. So that's another reason why I go and throw it on a bid night like this. Now, when you're doing lazy buy method, obviously you've got to be aware of, you know, listing the card for more than it's worth. But the second thing you have to be aware of is how long will the player hold the value? Because it's all good and well selling players on lazy buyers, but let's say I'm selling 84s on lazy buyers here, and then they want to crash down here. So the idea is you've also got to be aware of when are the cards that you're selling actually going to go and drop, because you want to sell them by that. Now, fodder, for example, would normally peak on a Wednesday before 6 PM and then go and drop till a Friday evening. Meaning you can basically buy fodder on a Friday evening and lazy sell it or list it every single time up until Wednesday evening. Now, with these cards, again, you are listing them for 1 hour at a time. The reason you're listing them for 1 hour at a time is because the vast majority of sales in this method are going to come in the last few seconds of it being listed. Because the idea is, let's go and stop done. The idea is someone's going to go and buy fodder. They're going to go and search this and they'll go, yeah, 5k for an 84 looks cheap enough, and they'll go and buy that card. Even though she's only selling at 4, the idea is they'll go and buy, this one at 5 and they'll think it's looking cheap. Again, it's an irrational method. It doesn't really make sense, but it works. It's something that's worked for like 10 years, so you kind of just got to take my word that this sort of method works. And again, you don't expect to sell it first time, because if you can make 50k an hour via doing something irrational, that'd be insane. The idea is what you do is you'll go and buy like 100 duns, and then you'll go and sell like 3-4 on an hour, but you're not doing anything. There's zero effort whatsoever. So let's say you just kept doing that. You can make an easy 20k during the day, and you're not actually doing any trading. All you're doing is mass buying a player, and then just keep on relisting them, and eventually they're going to go and sell on lazy buys. So the first example, or something you can go and flip, is low-rated fodder. The second example of something you can go and flip is players used for League SBCs. Now, the players used for League SBCs are silvers, and because they're silvers, their supply is not that high whatsoever. Let's go and use someone like Vidal, for example. I mean, there might not be quite enough cards on the market, but we've got someone like Arturo Vidal. I mean, are there just none on the market? There are none on the market, so I'm going to have to go and grab someone a little bit cheaper. But basically, the cards that are used for the Libertadores and Sudamerica SBCs are really rare. That's because they're all silvers. And because they're all high-rated silvers, what happens is, another thing with this is they can also fluctuate a lot. They can go up, they can go down, they can go left, they can go right. So you go and grab someone like Katana. I think this guy should have a few on the market. There we go. And what we do is we'd go and buy this guy for... We could go and buy this guy for 2.5k. And what we would then go and do is list him for about 30% more. I'd maybe go a little bit more than that. I'd maybe go and list him for like 4.2. So we're buying him at 2.5 and we're selling him at 4.2. That's because cards like this, not only could you go and sell them on lazy buyers, but they also fluctuate a lot. For example, we can see he goes down there to 3.2. We can see he goes up there to 4.2. So another thing you can go and look at is basically flipping 72 to 74 rated Sudamerica cards. And yeah, how you'd go and source these cards as well. So you'd head over to like something like Footbin. You'd go Leagues Sudamerica. You then go and get the other league of Libertadores. There we go. Then what I would do is I would then go and put rating 72. Lovely. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go and click on price once. And that is now going to sort all the Libertadores cards from cheapest to highest rated. So what you're going to do is you're going to go and sort via the lowest to the highest. And then what you're going to do is you're going to attempt to go and buy some of the cheapest. Now, I'll be honest with you, you probably won't be able to go and get these ones for 1.3, 1.5. What's more realistic is you'll be able to go and get these ones for 2k. So, for example, let's go and say we want to go and get ourselves the likes of Walter Boo. And the reason you can't get the ones for 1.8 is because those cards normally sell very fast, but cards that are sitting around about the 2k are normally a little bit easier. So what I would do is I'd go and pick up someone like Walter Boo, and then what I'd go and do with the Sudamerica cards is you can actually list them for a fair bit more. And that's because these cards fluctuate quite a lot. So we can see right now he's 2k, but he does go up to likes of 2.8k. We look at yesterday, we have 2.2k there. But these cards do fluctuate because they basically become rare sometimes, and then they're common on the market. So for example, if I have a little look on the market at the moment, yeah, there's a fair few under 2.5, but what I could probably do is very easily go and list them up for around about 30 to 40% more. In this case, I'd go and list them up for around about 2.9 to probably 2.5. So I'm making anywhere from about 500-600 coins on this card all the way up to 800 coins. So again, with this method, or with these sort of cards to go and flip to Sudamerica, you're going to buy the cheapest Sudamerica and Libertadores cards, and then you're going to go and list them around about 30-40% more. And again, you're going to consistently list these cards because eventually what should happen is they should become the cheapest solution and therefore rise nicely. Or again, when people are doing the Libertadores method, because it is so finicky, half the time people just can't be arsed and they'll just go and buy anything that pops up in the market. Which is another reason why this works. Again, I have some cards on my transfer list where literally I was doing this method earlier. If I can go and show you right there, there's some 83 rated ones. I would have bought this guy for around about 1.7 and I would have bought this guy for around about 3k and under. So you can also go and buy the cheapest Sudamerica cards and go and list them for around about 30-40%. Again, make sure not to buy Boca Juniors or what's it called? or River Plate. Regarding when you need to make sure to sell these cards by, these cards will have the best rise Thursday evening through to probably Monday before 6 PM. But the time you need to make sure you sell them for is sell them before marquee matchups. Marquee matchups heavily supply silvers, so they'll be flooded on the market, but it does give a nice opportunity in buying these silvers around about 8 to 10 PM on the Thursday and then selling them slowly through the week. Now the next thing you can go and do, other than using low rated fodder and using Sudamerica silvers, so the next cards we are going to go and cover are going to be cheap cheap cards with shadow. So this Mukulele and Pedro Porro actually did go and sell on with shadow, but once cards do sell on, they do remove the chem style. But you can see this is a method I use a lot when I'm personally lazy selling. In fact, the vast majority of my traps list is full up with gold cards with shadow. So how do we go and source these gold cards with shadow? Well, what I recommend doing is heading over to Footbin. We're then going to hover over players. We're then going to go down there to player game performance. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and click on games. This is now going to sort cards via the most, basically with the most games played. So you can see the Griezmann's got the most games played, De Jong, Mendy, but we're not going to want to trade with the expensive ones. We want to trade with the cheap ones, which means we want to go here to price, and we want to go down here to 0 to 5k. Now what this is going to do is it's going to show me the most used gold cards who are 0 to 5k. So what I recommend doing is avoiding centre backs. You don't want to be trading with centre backs because centre backs aren't very good to trade with because they're oversaturated. Likewise, you don't want to go and trade with strikers if you're going to do this with Hunter. So what we're basically going to do in this method is we're going to buy the most popular gold cards with shadows and most popular defensive players with shadow and the most popular offensive players with Hunter. And the reason this method works a lot is because these players are very, very commonly bought for when people are building their first teams. And it might sound crazy that people are buying gold cards with shadow, but again, this method consistently works. Again, we can literally show you right there. There are some fullbacks I just sold on overnight just for literally listing them up for an hour. So yeah, this is another method you can go and do. So you'll be looking at picking up Llorente with a shadow, Camavinga with a shadow, Frimpong with a shadow, Davies with a shadow, Yadugi with a shadow, Coman with a hunter, Doku with a hunter, Diaby with a hunter, Alvarez with a hunter, Konate with a shadow, although I wouldn't buy him because he's a centre-back, Martinelli with a hunter, Nkuku with a hunter, Hakimi with a hunter, again, centre-back, we wouldn't go and buy him, Gvardiol, centre-back, we wouldn't go and buy him, even though he's got left-back utility, and Nuno Mendes with a shadow. And what we can basically do, so I'll go and grab, Mendes, because I know Mendes is a nice example. So we'd go and basically go and buy Mendes. Now, what we're doing in this situation, we're probably going to pay up to 2k more for these players to have shadow, more than they are without a shadow. Some players are only 1k more. It's a little bit subjective. So Mendes with a shadow, you can see right there, there's a few up for 3.5. What I'd be doing in this situation is I'd basically go and buy all of these ones for 3.5, and then what I'd go and do is list them for at least 30% more. So if I can go and back out there. So yeah, what I would do in this situation is I'd go and pick up all these Mendes for 3.5k of a shadow, and then go and list them for about 30% more, which means we're probably going to go and list them for around about 4.7k. And again, all I'd do is I'd go and buy them, and then keep relisting them over and over and over again every single hour, and there's nothing really to worry about. The nice thing with Mendes as well, cheap gold cards with shadow, you don't have to sell them by a certain time. These cards just don't lose value. So unlike LaCroix with a shadow has been 3 to 4k of a shadow for the last month. So you don't have to worry about these cards with a shadow, which is another reason why I quite like these gold cards with a shadow, because if the golds are under 5k, they can't really drop anymore. And what you do is you just buy them and keep on listing them over and over and over again. Now, if you've got a little bit more coins and you kind of want to do lazy buy method, one, you could try this with high rated fodder of kind of, whatever you're doing. If you're not interested in trading, it's just a way how you can go and make coins. If you are interested in trading but you're too busy, then you can just go and buy these cards and relist them over and over and over again. It is literally one of the most consistent ways of people making coins in FIFA, is selling players on lazy buys or kind of waiting for them to fluctuate up. Any questions you guys do have, do feel free to go and join the streams. We stream for around about 9 till 6:30 every single day, so you can go and ask me any questions you don't understand regarding this method. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow with a new tutorial.